Welcome everyone to the next Power Launch episode today with Steven. Hi, Steven.
Hey, Mark. Nice to see you.
Hey, Steven. Great to see you. We're going to talk today all about Roblox. We're going to unpack why Roblox is or is not the next metaverse of choice for brands. Welcome everyone in the audience on Twitter, X, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Hi everyone, thanks for joining. This is an interactive session, live session, so please feel free to ask questions. We'll see them. We'll have a Q&A at the end. We'll try to answer all of those questions. Yeah, please feel free to participate and engage and comment. Yeah, let's kick it off. Steven, thanks for joining again. You're the Roblox expert, and first question is, what brought you to Roblox? What makes it tick? And also maybe, how did you start that journey?
Yeah, so for me, Roblox has been on my radar for probably 5-6 years because I have children and they've grown up playing Roblox with their friends, being on there, hanging out, playing different games while socializing with their friends, especially during the pandemic. Roblox was a place where they were spending a lot of time being able to play with their friends while still at home. And so it was on my radar. And a couple of years ago, I realized that there were brands that were starting to build games, experiences, UGC virtual clothing items on the platform. And it really reminded me of YouTube like 12 years ago. So I used to be a YouTuber, and 12 years ago, brands were trying to get onto the platform. They were trying to understand it, but the only ones who really understood how the platform worked were the native creators. And so I realized, wow, if there's brands coming here and they don't understand the platform, let me start to get deeper into the platform, let me understand it, and let me help brands enter the platform by learning how it works and what it takes to succeed there.
And just to make this point again, I think, Steven, you're one of the experts out there when it comes to Roblox with your company, Metaverse Marcom. I don't know any other person who's solely and very, very deeply focused on that ecosystem. So that makes it very interesting to have you here today. And for the listeners who don't know that ecosystem that well yet, can you paint us a little bit of a picture? Where does Roblox come from? Like when did it all start with that?
Yeah, I believe the company started something very early, like 2006. So quite a long time ago. Its roots are in education, and it has certainly become a really dominant force in the world of gaming. And some people who are unfamiliar with Roblox think Roblox is just one game, but it's not one game. It's a platform that has millions of games. So think of it like YouTube, but instead of people creating and uploading videos, it's people uploading, creating full video games. And so the platform really started to take off, I would say, in like 2018, 2019, and then just really accelerated with the pandemic to the point where now you have 79.5 million daily active users on the platform. And so it is really like quite large. It's really popular with younger people. So think Gen Z, Gen Alpha. And because it's so popular with this younger audience, brands are starting to pay attention and realize, oh, wow, if I want to reach these younger audiences, then Roblox is a place that I really need to pay attention to.
And you just mentioned some numbers, and I just want to highlight that again because it's insane how many users Roblox has. They have about 200 million monthly active users. Half of them are Gen Z, and the average user is spending about 2.6 hours a day on that platform.
Yeah, and that engagement time is what really I think is eye-popping to me, right? There's only so much time in the day. And so the fact that people are coming and spending that much time on the platform is really incredible. And I think it's really because Roblox brings together not just gaming, but again, this social activity, right? So sign up for Roblox, I create an avatar, and then I can jump into a game. Well, I can go play with my friends. I can see their avatars. We can go play games together. And right when I was growing up, it's like, oh, if I want to play a game with my friend, right, I'll have to go to their house. They'll have to come over to my house. But here it's just like instantaneously you can go. And because it's a platform that has millions of games, right, it can be like, oh, we're kind of bored with this game. All right, well, we'll just jump into the next one and keep going. And so I've heard people talking about how it's like, feels almost like going to the mall. Instead of going to the mall and walking around, we can go into Roblox and jump around to different games. And oh, if we want to do shopping, we can do that too. We can dress up our avatars and buy different hats and different clothing. So that that really combination of gaming plus social is, I believe, what really leads to that really long engagement time.
Before we jump into what brands are doing on the platform, I want to take a step back and also take the ones with you might not be familiar with Roblox yet. How would you pitch Roblox to a brand leader, a marketer of a consumer brand, and explain them what this is and why they should pay attention?
Yeah, look, I think that to me, when I think about Roblox and why brands need to pay attention, I think that to sort of paint a broader picture first, it's just the size of sort of gaming in general, right? Gaming is really the dominant form of like entertainment for young people today, right? They're spending more time, more money on gaming than they would on things like going to the movies, buying music, things like that. And so gaming is so dominant. And if you really want to stay relevant with younger audiences, which for most companies they want to, right? They need to stay relevant and think about future customer growth. Then certainly Roblox is a really easy platform to show up and connect with younger generation at scale. It used to be if you want a brand to integrate into a video game, then it would take years. The game development cycles are super lengthy and it's very difficult to just show up in a video game. But with Roblox, which is again like a user generated content platform, it can you can see a brand create something 2-3 months, and that shortening of the cycle just allows brands to jump in very quickly, sort of more cost effectively than probably what it's seen in the past, and can really get a brand in front of an audience tied to summer marketing campaign, a holiday marketing campaign really quickly and effectively. So I think the barriers to entry for brands to enter gaming and connect with players in that via gaming is just like the barriers have gone way down.
And you mentioned several times now user generated content. What do you mean by that? How does this work?
So there's, I would say, sort of two ways of thinking about user generated content, and sort of UGC is the acronym for that. So one hand, Roblox is a platform. Roblox does not necessarily build its own games, right? It creates the tools, the platform that allows individuals, teams to make their own content, which in this case is video games. And so Roblox has a program called Roblox Studio where developers can go and build their own games. So that approach, right? That's just like it's user generated content, and I would say, hey, that's different than like Activision and EA and like all of these professional big video game companies, right? So you have kids who have grown up playing Roblox who have learned how to build their own games. And maybe they have a successful game studio and they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, or maybe even millions of dollars a year. And they are 18 years old, 19 years old. They're not professional like professionals, but they've gone and become turned into professionals by just being fans, enthusiasts. So that's on one hand, that's what Roblox is. It's a platform that's totally like user generated. Now, when we talk about UGC specifically on Roblox, that's the term used for virtual clothing items. And so if somebody's talking about, oh, there's free UGC available in this game, well, what they're talking about is virtual item that your avatar can wear, whether it's a hat, whether it's a shoulder pet, whether it's a sweater, and you can buy those items. Sometimes a brand will show up and they'll give those items away for free in their experience to attract players. So UGC has like a very specific meaning within the Roblox community, but then broadly that the platform itself is just user generated content.
You already touched upon a couple of things those brands do. You said they are creating items for players. If you look at those brand activations, can you paint us a picture? What are these brands doing in Roblox? How do they connect to users?
Yeah, so I would say that the sort of what a lot of brands have done, which is sort of gets the most press, most attention, is building a standalone game or standalone experience. And so I use the word game and experience interchangeably. So this could be Walmart, this could be Lamborghini, this could be Netflix. They're building the standalone experience, the standalone game from scratch. And so you can imagine that building a game is not, it's not impossible, but it's not super easy. So there's a fair amount of, hey, what is the game? What is it going to look like? How is it going to work? How, what are the assets that we're going to create? What is the game economy going to look like? So building a standalone game, that's one way that brands are showing up. Another way is integrating into existing games. So as I said, there's millions of games on the platform, and there's games that are very popular that will have 1 million visits a day. In some cases, 2, 3 million visits a day. Other cases, they're smaller, but they might still have 5 million visits a month, 10 million visits a month. And so what a brand might do is do a pop-up experience, just show up within that game for a short period of time, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, maybe 2 months, and have like a little display or take over a level. So it might be an obstacle course, and hey, we're partnered with a tennis tournament, and so one level is going to be all tennis balls and have signs for the tennis tournament. So there've been integrations for years on YouTube, on Instagram. A brand wants to work with an influencer and they integrate into that influencer's content. So similar here, right? You can integrate into an content. So building your own experience, integrating, and then a couple other options are just creating these virtual items, making those available for sale. So this could be, hey, we're a clothing company. We want to start selling virtual versions of our physical items within Roblox. So you can do that. And then what's a new way that's still relatively new is video ads. And so a couple months ago at the late spring, Roblox rolled out video ads. And so video ads don't require anybody a brand to have built on Roblox. They can simply run ads directly on the platform. And so for brands that are like, hey, we want to reach this audience, but we're not yet, ready to build something on the platform, it's a much easier way to go. But that's still very new, but exciting because so many advertisers already run video ads on other platforms. So now Roblox has a way, is offering a way to media buyers to buy media in a way that they're used to.
You now mentioned several strategies, and I'm sure there are dozens of different ways brands can enter that platform. Patterns or things that stand out where you would see like brands partnering up with existing games, or brands are more successful if they target a narrow audience than going broad? Or
yeah, look, I would say that we're still in the very early days of brands and Roblox coming together. I would say that momentum is picking up in terms of brand interest as more big brands join the platform. Then others in their industry see, oh, wait, what's going on here? We should really take a look at that. And so at this point, I would say the market is very fluid. a few years ago, we were seeing custom built games and less integrations. It seems like integrations have started to grow and you're seeing more integrations than we were before. And it just really depends, what's right for the brand. And so for some brands, they just really need a very small sort of marketing push. So it could be a movie release. The latest Beetlejuice movie had a very successful pop-up sort of like integrations plus experience together. And that made a lot of noise. And that's just a limited time event. But a company like Walmart is going to be on Roblox for quite a long time and is really looking to build over time. So what's right for one company might be different for another company, and what's trending now and how people are activating now will likely change in the future.
If there's one thing that you saw with all those brand activations, and by the way, we also looked at this, and about 80% of Interbrand top 100 global brands are building in virtual worlds, not exclusively on Roblox, but could be Roblox, Fortnite, they're like virtual platforms. So out of all those activations, have you seen one thing that always worked or one thing that never worked?
So look, I think that when you, in terms of what always works, and I'll kind of caveat this, like if you're doing an integration into an existing game, you know going in how much traffic that game gets. So if you say, hey, we want to integrate into this game gets 10 million visits a month. We just want the audience who goes into this game to know about our brand. It's pretty much guaranteed, yeah, you're going to reach that audience because that audience, the traffic is consistent. You can know the demographics, the geography, everything in advance before you do that deal. And so that is more guarantees. But, is the level of connection as strong? Maybe not as strong as if you were building your own game, right? So if you're integrating into somebody else's game, is it a deep integration? Is it a light integration? Is your brand showing up in only a small section of the game, or is it really all over the place? And so, yes, it works. You can get in front of people, but that level of engagement is like, depends on what the integration looks like. And then the custom game, right? It's not guaranteed that it's going to work. There's been lots of brands that have built something and just haven't been able to find an audience. And that can be a combination of them not really supporting with marketing. It could be the game wasn't very fun, and so people didn't stick around. And so the Roblox algorithm never thought it was worth promoting to a broader audience. And so, yes, integrations are your sort of more guaranteed success, but it's, has some downside in terms of how much is it really making an impact, how deep is that engagement. And then on the, downside, really building a game, it just depends. And I think there's market overall has gotten smarter and realized, oh, I can't just build a game and expect it to do incredibly, right? The game has to be fun. And so I think the games are getting better. They're becoming real games versus just a brand shows up and expects people to come play.
Can you share some success stories of recent games or activations you saw or clients you worked with that did it very well?
Yeah, so certainly there's a variety of brands out there that are doing a great job. I had a chance to work on an integration between a band and a game called Please Donate. So the band was Glass Animals. They were releasing a new album this past summer, and so I worked with a company called Barrier 4 and their partner Please Donate, who has a really huge game. And so we created a sort of section of the map within the game that had the band, their avatars. People could come up, listen to tracks from the new album. They could also earn free UGC virtual items. They could also go over to Discord and submit artwork for a contest to win Robux, which is the currency within the platform of Roblox. And so it was a really deep integration. It was just over a weekend, but it really, again, generated like millions of impressions, made a big splash, helped the band during that critical time of launching its new album. And so what I loved about that was, yeah, it was just like, it was a short burst, but it really was effective in terms of, getting the word out there and, hitting those marketing objectives.
I just asked you about success stories, and that brings me to another question. How do you even define success on Roblox? Maybe we can get into that a little bit later as well when we talk about monetization. Can brands make money there? Can they not? If not, what success? How do they define that?
Sure. So, look, I would say that it's, again, it depends on who the brand is, what their objectives are. And so for some brands, for a lot of brands, I would say the majority of brands coming into the platform, it's really about marketing at this point. Monetization is not typically the number one objective of brands showing up on the platform. And that's because we're so early and it's not easy to monetize. So if you were a brand and you said, hey, we want to be on YouTube, great. Like, can for some brands, growing a very successful YouTube channel for most brands is very difficult. And will everybody be able to monetize effectively on YouTube? Like, no. Like some can. If you're a content brand, if you have great content, yeah, you can monetize effectively on YouTube. So same thing on Roblox. Not every brand is going to show up and be able to automatically be able to start generating a lot of revenue from Roblox. It's very difficult to do that. And so marketing has become really the main priority for brands that are coming onto the platform. And again, it's brands that either are early adopters, that are wanting to be on the forefront of innovation, that really care about reaching young audiences, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, or it's brands that are aging up and saying, wow, it's critical for us. We have to be on this platform. We can't ignore this platform because this is where our future customers are. And so metrics, the KPIs, the way that typically brands that are coming at this from a marketing perspective, that what they're looking at is reach. So how many impressions? How many people are we reaching? How many people came to this game? So how many visits? How many, unique visitors came? How often did they come? So reach, right? Pure reach, that's certainly a key marketing metric. And then engagement, which is quite interesting. So a typical branded on Roblox will see engagement time between 8 to 10 minutes. And so when marketers say, wow, I can have 8 to 10 minutes of engagement, that's incredible. If I'm on TikTok, I'll be happy with 15 seconds of engagement. And now we're talking about so much more than that. So it's really reach, number one, engagement, number two, typically. That's for some, it's a new way of thinking. It's a new way because it's like, how do I compare 8 minutes to 15 seconds? It's different platforms, different user behavior that we're seeing on Roblox versus other platforms.
That's a very interesting point. When I had my conversation with Vincent Benoit, now former head of innovation at Sephora, and Sephora built the Sephora Universe. It's not on Roblox, it's like their own platform, but it's also a virtual world where users can spend time. And they specifically wanted to create something that engages users more than they would spend on the website. So they knew on a website maybe like 1 to 5 minutes, and in store maybe 30 to 40 minutes. And they didn't have a tool or an engagement channel that kind of hit the middle. And that's why they created Sephora Universe.
Right. And I think that, again, if we think about younger audiences and how they're spending their time today, It's on platforms like Roblox. It's in 3D virtual spaces with their friends. And so this is by brands showing up on these platforms, they're really meeting young people where they already are. And that's important. You can imagine that, look, the internet is going to change. The internet is going to evolve over time. And it makes sense to me that the internet will continue to adopt elements from gaming that users are used to. And so if you're a brand that's not paying attention to the space, you have the potential to miss out on future generations of customers, and really being there and speaking to them in a language they understand and they want to engage in as the internet evolves, as e-commerce evolves. So the brands that are in now are on the forefront of learning and growing with this audience.
I want to shout out again to the audience that tuned in. Thanks a lot for joining us, the ones on LinkedIn and on X. If you have questions, please comment, please ask. We have a Q&A coming up. We'll look at all of them and just, engage. Steven, I want to take a step back now and look a little bit at what the competition is doing as well. If you're a brand and you want to reach a young audience, obviously this young audience is not only spending time on Roblox, they're also using other platforms like Fortnite or Minecraft. How would you compare Roblox to those competitive platforms? And why should a brand build on Roblox, or why not?
Sure. Yeah, and I think it's just going to depend on, again, the brand, who their audience is, who they're trying to reach. So I would say that, Minecraft by and large has not been as brand friendly, as easy to work with as Roblox and Fortnite. So we're seeing more brand activity on Roblox and Fortnite than we are in Minecraft. Now, when you look at Fortnite, the vast majority of their audience is male. And for those who don't know, Fortnite is about, very violent. And so for some brands, they don't want to associate themselves with a platform that is so closely related to guns and violence. And for some brands, showing up on a platform that's majority male doesn't make sense for them. So if you're Sephora, it probably doesn't make as much sense for you to activate on Fortnite. If you are the NFL, then Fortnite makes a lot of sense for, your audience and who you're trying to reach. So Roblox is much closer to evenly split. It's still slightly more male, but it's just like over 40% female. And so for those brands that are trying to reach both males and females, as well as, audiences that and not have those restrictions around like violence and those types of things, then Roblox is just a much more open platform. So I would say it really kind of comes down to audience first and foremost for brands when you're deciding, hey, which is the right platform for me.
I want to come back to a point we touched upon earlier, which is monetization. How does monetization work on Roblox, and how can brands make money?
So monetization, let's go back to a couple ways that brands can show up on the platform. So one is building your own game. So there's monetization opportunities there. There's also integrations. Typically, there isn't really a monetization opportunity in integration. You're just renting space in somebody else's game. You're getting in front of their audience. So integrations typically don't have levels of monetization. And then you have these UGC virtual items. So those can be sold within Roblox. So when you're talking about selling virtual clothing, virtual items, yes, those are monetizable. It doesn't cost like a huge amount to create a virtual item, a couple $100, $200, $300, $400 to create a virtual item. You can then make that for sale in Roblox. However, the challenge is sort of discovery, right? So how are people finding this? So that's difficult. It can be hard to get the word out because there's so many items that are available for sale on the platform. And then the the economics are challenging because each item might sell for, let's say, the equivalent of 50 cents. And so if you're selling an item for 50 cents, Roblox will take 30% of that sale. Whoever is the seller of that item on the platform, so if it's just selling in the Roblox marketplace, Roblox would be the seller. That the seller gets 40%, so that leaves only 30% left for the person who created the item. So if a brand, I've seen brands create items and it's like, oh wow, they maybe spent, $300, $400, $500 to create that item, and they probably made $4 or something. They sold very few of that item. And so because these are micro transactions, you really need big sales numbers, right? A high volume of sales in order to even break even. So it is possible, it has been done, but again, it's just very challenging. And then on the game side, in terms of generating revenue, you really need to be making a game that is super successful, that is getting like sort of millions, tens of millions of visits per month. And right now, there's only a few sort of games that have branded games that have done that, which are largely based on IPs. So Sonic the Hedgehog has a very successful game. It just crossed 1 billion visits. And so that game is likely doing very well. And they're selling what you would find in a video game, like mobile games. So like game passes and in-game currency and special in-game items. And so those are possible. But again, for most brands, they're going to say, hey, we probably can't make the next Sonic. It's going to be very difficult for us to reach that type of scale. Again, that's why marketing is leading over monetization at this point.
Another successful activation, I think, was Barbie, right? I'm not sure how familiar you are with that case. If you are, can you talk a little bit about what they've done and why this worked so well?
Yeah, so certainly Barbie, especially last summer with the Barbie movie really being this global phenomenon, having, the movie, break $1 billion at the box office worldwide. The Roblox experience, the Roblox game came out in beta around the same time as the movie. I think that like certainly the cultural awareness, riding that wave of popularity was helpful for the game. But then at the end of the day, the game is very, number one, familiar. So the idea is you're building a dream house, which is just part of what Barbie is known for, Barbie's dream house. So it's a very sort of familiar concept. It leaned into an existing game genre that's popular on Roblox called Tycoon. And so it's Barbie Dream House Tycoon, and every time you move around the map, you can step on a button, and that button creates a new element within the dream house. And so that genre is well known and can lead to very strong engagement, retention, which are good signals for the Roblox algorithm. And then lastly, like the game is just very deep. So instead of one dream house, there's like 3 dream houses at first, and then there's eventually like 4 or 5 dream houses. They're constantly rolling out new content. So not all brands are coming to the platform and investing that much in being able to create something so deep, so sticky. That Barbie has been effective at doing that. And that's led to, I think it has hundreds of millions of visits. It's really quite popular. It's been the number one branded game on the platform for going on, probably like 8, almost 10 months.
I also want to shift sides a little bit and not only talk about the brands, but also about the users. I think an important element on Roblox are influencers and creators. Why are they so important?
So I think there's a couple of things here. So number one is that, yes, people spend so much time on Roblox, but they also spend time on platforms like YouTube, like TikTok, watching content. And often Roblox content is very popular on these platforms. I was at the Roblox Developers Conference last week. I believe they shared a stat that said there's 1 billion views of Roblox content on other platforms every single day. And so there's a lot of players, right, playing Roblox. There's a lot of demand for interesting content from those players, whether it's comedy content, whether it's tutorial content. So there's so much demand out there. And I think that that players want it, and for creators it's a way for them, because there's so much demand, to grow their followings, to grow their audience, to build their channels, and it gives them a way to generate content pretty effectively, consistently, using Roblox as a way for them to create video content. And so it's this cycle that kind of keeps going. It helps both creators grow their platforms, and it gives viewers a chance to, learn more about Roblox, ways to level up, and just gives them what they want, which is more Roblox.
A common thing that you usually hear in those discussions about the success of Roblox is parents chiming in and saying, this is a money grab. I have kids that are spending hours on this platform, and they're getting lured into purchasing in-game items, and we need to make rules around this. This is not ethical. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I certainly can understand where those comments and concerns come from. I'm a parent, so I have 3 children. And as I've said, they've been on Roblox for quite a long time. Again, it's a platform, and it's one that reaches a lot of people. And there's certainly going to be challenges when any platform gets really big. And so my kids have had Robux from time to time. It's usually been presents, right? So for a birthday or for the holidays, they're given a gift card. What does your kid want? Oh, yeah, they're happy with Robux. And so getting a gift card. But what I found is, like, yeah, I typically, like, I'm in the majority that does not spend on video game items. The people who do are in the minority. There's more people who don't spend and who get sort of full experiences with just enjoying the free items and the free play. And so for me, in my household, it's like, oh yeah, my kids aren't necessarily always looking for Robux. Now certainly there's parents who spend on Roblox and whose kids spend a lot of Robux, but to me it's just like, hey, this is what parenting today looks like, which is, again, very different, right? The forms of entertainment, the forms of media consumption and spending are vastly different than what it was before. And it's partly driven by the fact that society has changed, and how people spend their time and where they place value is very different than before. And so because players are spending so much time on these platforms, they're saying, hey, how I show up, how my avatar looks matters more to me than how I look in real life. And why would people say that? They would say that because that's where they hang out with their friends. That's where they spend their free time. And so, there is a shift that's happening, and it's one that is important to recognize, and for each person figure out, hey, what is the right thing for me and my family, and how we show up here.
Steven, this has been incredibly insightful so far. Because before we go to the Q&A, one last question from my side is, what advice would you give to brand leaders starting to look into this?
Yeah, look, I would say that the number one thing you can do is just start to educate yourself on the platform. It's create account. If your kids have accounts already, if you have kids who are playing, spend time playing with them, learning. I happen to have a blog website that puts out tons of content educating brands on this space. So check out metaversemarcom.io. I have over 1,500 people on my newsletter who read it, learning about what other brands are active and what they're doing in the space. And so, my my content is meant to be an educational tool, but really just getting your hands on, going into some of these experiences, seeing what Walmart's doing, seeing what Lamborghini's doing. This is going to help you understand how to show up and what might make sense for your brand.
I can totally confirm that. Yeah, you do the deepest content on Roblox out there. Check it out, Metaverse Marcom, if you haven't so yet. Let's look at a couple of questions from the audience. If you have questions, please comment. We still see that. The first one is from Gustavo Salami. Why is there no Web3 on Roblox? And I assume with Web3, he means why there are no digital assets, NFTs, blockchain-based assets.
Yeah, so Roblox to date has like created some elements that are maybe similar to sort of steps in that direction towards sort of limited items, sort of validating sort of scarcity, creating those types of dynamics on the platform. And so when it comes to UGC virtual items, you can create items that are unlimited, or you can create items that are limited and say, hey, there's only going to be 500 of these or 5 of these items. And so there have been some plays that have been like not on a blockchain. They have not been to that level, but they have approached those types of dynamics. So Lamborghini created a virtual item. It was a bullhead, and there were only 3 of these available. And if you purchased it, the developer Sawhorse, who I work with, was able to link up and validate that item purchase with a user account, and then unlock a utility, which was a VIP tour of the Lamborghini headquarters in Italy. So, again, tying a virtual good to like an in-person, in real life utility, is possible. And so, I think like the future of the platform is hard to predict, but some of these elements, some of these ways of tying together the virtual world and the physical world are certainly where things are headed.
You just visited the annual developer conference. Are there any things, features you see that are coming up?
Yeah, so a big announcement was made around Shopify e-commerce coming out early next year. So I think this is going to mostly impact the developers on the platform who are interested in selling merchandise to their fans. So if you have a big game and you want to sell t-shirts or plushies or stickers or backpacks, then you can set up a Shopify store and start to sell those items directly in your game. So that's a big one. And then just more news around like video ads leveling up, evolving, becoming more integrated into games. Certainly that's one thing. And then premium games. Roblox is going to offer the ability for brands to, or for companies, anybody to sell games at $9.99, $29.99, $49.99 with greater rev share. So I think this is an opportunity for traditional gaming companies to say, oh, wow, we want to go to Roblox, but now the economics are better. We can sell at a higher price point than just being this free-to-play platform. And so those were some of the bigger announcements last week.
Super interesting. Another question from Tabassum. Is there a community for VR developers of Roblox?
So Roblox enabled VR, I believe it was a year ago. And so there is the ability to create experiences, to create games that are VR enabled. And so, I'm sure that there are developers out there that are focused more on VR games, VR experiences. I'm not part of those communities, and so I don't have a ton of experience of like how big that is or how they're in touch, but I imagine there's people out there that are interested in doing that.
Yeah. All right, that's already it with the bigger questions. I would like to end this with a short lightning round. Very short questions and very short answers. The first one, what is your favorite game on Roblox?
So Hello Kitty cafe, you build a cafe. It's just super fun. I've spent a lot of time playing that game.
How would you pitch Roblox to a brand leader in one sentence?
Your new best way to reach Gen Z and Gen Alpha.
What do you think is the future of gaming and virtual worlds for brands in one sentence?
Making fun games that people want to play over and over again.
Will Roblox be still around and relevant in 5 years from now? Yes or no?
Yes.
Great. So we're staying optimistic. Steven, thanks for joining us. This was very, very insightful. Also, thanks everyone for tuning in. If you like this, retweet, like it, share it with friends. This helps us keep it going. Steven, you already mentioned it a couple of times, but again, where can people find more about you?
Yeah, so you can check me out. My website is metaversemarcom.io. You can sign up to my newsletter there. You can also follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone. And Steven, see you soon.
All right. Thank you.